Our next speaker is a dedicated voice for hunters, sportsmen, and gun owners nationwide. Mark Jones serves as our National Hunter Outreach Director for Gun Owners of America, working to protect our sporting heritage while defending the Second Amendment. He spent years building relationships with lawmakers, educating the public, and standing up for rights of America's outdoorsmen and women. However, he's also a big family man. And to introduce him onto the stage today, I'd like to invite his son, Bear Jones, to the stage.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Bear Jones, and I'm really excited and honored to introduce our next speaker. Mark Jones is not only a dedicated advocate of the Second Amendment, but he's also been a passionate hunter for his whole life. He is the National Director for GOA's Hunter Outreach Program, and the best part is, he is my dad. My dad has been a certified wildlife biologist for 3 decades, and is currently a National Director with Gun Owners of America, GOA, and Gun Owners Foundation, GOF. After retiring from government service, he joined GOA over 4 years ago and founded the National Hunter Outreach Program, Second Amendment Hunters, which emphasizes the importance of the Second Amendment to the hunting community. Let's give a warm welcome to Mark Jones.
Thank you. It's pretty amazing to have my own son give me an introduction, and I want to thank everybody for being out today here at our Gun Owners Leadership Summit. If you ever wonder why a middle-aged guy like me is in the Second Amendment fight, it's because of that generation. That right there. We have got to work to protect the Second Amendment for the next generation in this country. I grew up in a place in southwestern Virginia in the Appalachian Mountains, and I had freedom. I had liberty. I ran around in the hills with a gun. I did things, and I want my son and daughter and yours as well to have those same opportunities. And the left's never going to stop trying to take away that right, no matter what we do. So my job is to try to engage hunters in this fight for the Second Amendment. And whether or not you're a hunter doesn't matter, but this is important. The motto of our hunting program is that the Second Amendment's not about hunting, but hunters should be about the Second Amendment. What we try to do, we try to get hunters involved. And I want to give you some examples in the short time I've got. In many states in the United States, over 50% of hunters are not even registered to vote. And there are other hunters that are registered that don't go to the polls. So before the last election, and we know this was at the time the most important election in our lifetimes, we worked in key swing states where President Trump had to win to get those hunters to the polls. In some of those states, there were as many as 300,000 that we could identify that weren't voting. The other thing that we try to do, and before I move on, we actually have some evidence that that effort was successful. And one of the reasons, not the only reason, President Trump was reelected, is that groups like us that reached out to groups like that weren't voting, it actually worked in places like Michigan, Arizona, Pennsylvania, which were key swing states in determining who was going to be the next president. The other thing that we try to do with GOA's hunting program is work to actually protect the hunting traditions. And that's a little bit different than GOA's long-term core mission. I mean, we've got most of the people, I would say, that have come to Goals this weekend are hardcore Second Amendment supporters. Some of them don't hunt. A lot of them don't hunt, shoot machine guns, own concealed carry guns. And, my message to those people that don't care about hunting is that we have got to embrace hunters and pull hunters into the Second Amendment community to protect the future of the Second Amendment for everybody. And, I sometimes hear derogatory terms, or I hear really hardcore gun people talk about hunters in a negative way. If you've ever heard the term FUD, it's a derogatory term for a hunter, and we should never be using those words. And a lot of people in the hardcore gun community are guilty of that. And I have a message for those people. Most hunters nowadays have concealed carry permits and buy 9mm ammo. Most hunters nowadays own AR-15s. We're one community of people that care about the Second Amendment. We've all got to be banded together if we're going to have a Second Amendment for that next generation, like my young son that was just up here. So what I would like to ask you to do, if you're here today, if you are a hunter, follow Second Amendment Hunters, GOA Second Amendment Hunters on social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We've been engaged in a lot of efforts over the last 4 years. Give you one quick example. The Biden administration tried to shut down hunter safety, archery, and shooting sports in all of America's schools 2 years ago. I don't know how many of you heard about that, but those programs have been available to America's kids since 1965. It was always up to the local school board, but it was available if the school board wanted it. The Biden administration tried to unilaterally shut that down. We were able to work with members of Congress to rescind that executive order, and those programs are still available today. If your school board doesn't have it, go ask them why. Okay? But if you're not a hunter, I encourage you to embrace the hunting community. As I said at the beginning of this short speech, as many as 50% of the hunters in this country in some states are not registered to vote. Let's bring them into the fold. Let's get them involved in the Second Amendment movement. Tell them about GOA's Second Amendment Hunters program. If we're going to save the Second Amendment and the hunting tradition so that my son and his children can participate, we're going to have to do that to fight the onslaught from the left. We've got a temporary reprieve while President Trump's in office, but the left never stops. They're after every traditional American value that's out there. Obviously, that includes the Second Amendment, and that also includes the American hunting tradition. So I want to thank everybody for coming out to Goals. I want to encourage you to check out GOA's Second Amendment Hunters on social media and go out and recruit one more person into this fight to help protect and defend the Second Amendment. Thank you for your time, and God bless America.
I mean, talk about like a proud dad moment. Seeing Bear come out here, Bear behind the stage, he actually wasn't nervous at all, and he just said, that was my first time ever doing that, and man, I think he acted. Round of applause for Bear, he nailed it.